Hey YouTube. So I'm back to make another video for you because I realized that I'd actually done something that was worth another video and just slipped my mind. But so I've been experimenting a lot with this substance. It's called Prussian blue. What it is it's a pigment, and it is what they call electrophotochromic. It has a bunch of really interesting effects because it will reversibly oxidize with changes in atmospheric humidity, but it will also oxidize when placed into a dark environment, and then when it is hit by sunlight, it will reverse that action. So, like if you leave, like say you take a blueprint and you leave a blueprint inside of a dark drawer for a really long time, all of the Prussian blue that makes the blueprint blue will eventually turn into Prussian white. And the way you fix this, or the way that you would restore color to this print, would be you would expose it to sunlight, and then the Prussian blue that makes the blueprint blue will turn back to being blue. Um, so when I learned about this stuff, I figured, okay, well, I got to get my hands on this. I got to play with it a little bit. And so I went and I picked up this nice little casing of artist grade pigment. I realize it's probably not perfect, but it is what it is. And I started seeing what I could do with it. One of the experiments that I attempted at first was I wanted to know, can I make a Prussian battery? Like, how easy is it to make a Prussian battery? So that's where this comes in. Now, on the inside of here, I have a bare piece of copper wire that's wrapped around, and I have another piece, and then I took a piece of tissue paper, I wrapped it around that wire, and then this is Prussian blue that I painted onto this piece of paper, wrapped around there, and then secured tightly with a second bare copper wire. Now, this doesn't produce like super de-duper voltage there. It's not like some sort of ultra amazing thing. However, if I put my voltmeter on here, tuned to or set to DC, and clip onto one wire and the other wire, we can see here that we get a constant voltage signal. Now, it might be a relatively low voltage signal. That's only a few millivolts. However, for being a dry air cell, it's not bad. It's not bad. The production, if I go and I grab a bit of water here, and I get this thing wet again, this should change the output significantly. There we go. So now that it's wet, we're getting better ion transport between the sides, and the voltage from the cell has gone up to 50 millivolts. Now this thing, this battery, it's quite an interesting little invention here, because theoretically, as long as the Prussian can be is exposed to a fluctuating moisture level, or conditions of different lighting, it's going to continuously regenerate the Prussian blue. And this continuous regeneration means that this is going to be a battery that has the potential for continuous operation. But not only that, it's solar rechargeable. So that's interesting. It's like you don't have to get power from the grid to recharge it. You could actually just stick it in the sun and recharge it through solar activity. It's not, and don't get me wrong, I'm not claiming that it's a free energy battery. It's not. It's taking fluctuating environmental conditions that regenerates the Prussian blue layer, allowing for a continuous operation. So no, but anyway, there are other little cells that I decided that I wanted to give a try out for this as well. And so the first thing that I wanted to do with it is I wanted to make a voltaic pile. So this is my first voltaic pile made using the Prussian blue. And when I attach to it here, and you can see it's just a thin little pile here. With the dry cell, I get 20 something millivolts. If I put it to amperage, it's not producing very much amperage. Again, it's a dry cell, so you know we're getting like a microamp. It's not much. And a bit of the disadvantage of having the Prussian inside of a pile like this is it means that the only way that it's going to regenerate the Prussian blue is by having varying moisture levels. So this is actually probably not the best overall design, but nonetheless it still functions as a battery based off of the electrochemical actions of the Prussian blue. And after I made this pile, which is made from a combination of graphite and graphite dispersed in the paint, and I just want to make sure for this one, this one is just Prussian blue. So it's graphite on one side of the paper and Prussian blue on the other side of the paper. So then I made this much larger voltaic pile. This one over here is, okay, now this one is also carbon Prussian blue. Now the papers are not like perfectly ideally cut, so so some of the sections short with some of the other sections, reducing the total voltage. Should be much higher, but it is what it is. And this one produces 0.57 or 0.057, so 54, 56 millivolts. Now, I had hooked these up to capacitors before and had them charge capacitors, and the reason that it's outputting 56 millivolts here is because the internal resistance of the voltage measuring circuit on the inside of this meter is 40 mega ohms. So like it's not a ton of power because this is a 56 millivolt drop across a 40 mega ohm resistor, meaning that really we're looking at nanoamperes of current for this dry pile. I had made a more performant cell, but unfortunately I don't have it anymore. I used it actually. When I made it, I was getting, I believe it was 600 milliamps at 1.2 volts. But it had a completely different formulation compared to this one. I had a copper plate on one side, and then graphite. Graphite on the other side, and then I had my my wet or my saltwater soaked paper. And so basically, what I did is I mixed the graphite with acrylic paint. And so that way I was able to create a conductive paint. And so I put that conductive paint on one side, and then I took the rest of my graphite conductive paint and I mixed it with Prussian blue, and I put that on the other side. And then I put another copper plate to sandwich on that other side. And Prussian blue has extremely poor conductivity all by itself. But by mixing it with the graphite paint, I drastically increased the conductivity of the Prussian blue side of the battery. And because of that drastically increased conductivity, I was actually able to extract the power from the Prussian blue. And so I ended up getting about 1.2 volts at about 600 milliamps. So I'd actually taken that thing and I ran my Joule Thief with it. And as impressive as it was, I threw it out because I wasn't thinking about making videos at the time, and the cell was completely ruined after it dried out, and I couldn't really, I didn't really feel like fixing it. I was kind of just of the attitude of, oh, that worked really well. Okay, well, I'll come up with another one. I'll just get some more graphite later and make another one. I haven't done it yet, but it is what it is. This stuff, I find it to be one of the most interesting compounds that I've put my hands on to date. It has immense potential in the area of rechargeable batteries because of the way that because of its photochromic properties, electrophotochromic properties. This substance actually creates for a far more rechargeable battery than pretty much any other technology I've encountered to date. And the power output of that little cell that I made is also relatively promising to me. The only real challenge is to make a useful solar rechargeable battery with Prussian blue. You would probably need to make a single layer cell, so you wouldn't be able to make a pile like this, and you would probably do it with graphite like I did. You do graphite on one side, and then you would do graphite and Prussian blue mixed together on the other side, and you just use the photochromic properties of the Prussian blue to generate your electricity. Then for the contact electrodes to draw the power from the Prussian blue, probably you would need to use something like ITO glass. That way you could transport the Prussian blue somewhere and use the power that comes off of the Prussian blue as the Prussian blue turns from Prussian blue to Prussian white. And then when you need to recharge the battery, you could take the battery and put the ITO glass, the transparent side with the Prussian blue. You can put that in the sun, and then that will the sun will turn the Prussian blue. It'll turn the Prussian white back into Prussian blue, at which point you'll have a fully recharged battery. I actually have some ITO glass coming in, so this may be actually motivation for me to rebuild my my cell and pick up some additional graphite so that I can do that. Because the whole reason I wasn't motivated to fix the other cell that I made was because it wasn't going to be solar rechargeable because I didn't have transparent electrodes. Now that I have ITO glass coming in, I will have transparent electrodes, so it's actually going to be worth it for me to reconstruct this solar rechargeable battery. Anyway, I thought I would show off a little bit and show some of the different little battery technologies that I've been experimenting with as well, because I find this concept of a solar rechargeable battery to be equally as interesting as other solar technologies, and potentially even more interesting than other solar technologies, as the photochromic effects of Prussian blue potentially mean that you could have a solar panel that is its own battery, where you could extract power from the battery during the daytime as it operates under the solar light, but then at the nighttime, when that solar light is no longer present, it's still a battery because it's still undergoing galvanic actions and producing power until all the Prussian blue is used up and turned into Prussian white. And then when the sun comes up in the morning, that sun turns the Prussian white back into Prussian blue, and your battery is recharged. Anyway, here's some of my thoughts there. Till next time, YouTube.